I'm Suzanne Sibylla. I'm the owner of Sibylla and Associates, which is the premier leadership and employee development company. Overcome obstacles, reframe your reality, love life, and have growth goals. Change and shift your energy. Pivot. Welcome, everyone. I'm Suzanne Sibylla, your host of Pivot Now, where we bring on interesting, exciting, and dynamic guests who will share with us their tips, tricks, and business hacks to help you pivot in your life. I'm super excited to bring this guest on our show. She's absolutely amazing. You're going to love her. I just know it. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She is an author, somatic healer, and trauma-informed specialist. How cool is that? That is so amazing. She is also the founder of Unbridled Change, and she helps clients to live and lead their authentic lives. Super excited to have her on our show. Welcome, Michelle Holling-Brooks. Woo! Let's bring her on. Let's bring her on. Go, Michelle. Woo!
Woo! On fire. Ooh, I love that. We're on fire.
I love it. We got the fire and the hearts. Let's go. I love what you do. Tell us a little bit more about Unbridled Change.
Yeah, so Unbridled Change is a nonprofit organization that I founded back in 2008, and there's quite a pivot story in that one too. How I brought that in, and it's an organization that I really wanted to provide a sanctuary, a safe place for people to find that hope and the healing and the growth that they are looking for. So whether that's people coming through the door of trying to heal after trauma, after something in their life, either physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual, separated them out from really feeling like, one, they're living their authentic life, that they actually love their life. They're excited to be in it and to be a part of it. You know, that spark, that fire, that heart that you were just showing, kind of gets dimmed and we get cut off from it. And there's like this ocean that goes in between, like we're just surviving. We're just plugging through life. And so Unbridled Change, the name of it, you can kind of guess, is there to kind of help shake that up and change things, because so often we feel like we cannot change the momentum of our life. We're stuck with that karmic wheel. And in reality, we're really not, but it takes really beautiful, compassionate intention to help us break free and step into who we truly want to be, who we truly are, and who we want to become. You know, all those things come together. So that's what Unbridled Change does. We have a bunch of different services of how we do it, but it all falls underneath that category, that ocean. Then your heart leads the way. It takes you through those pivots. It takes you through showing up, living, loving, and leading your authentic life. And so that's what we do.
Wow. I love it so much. That does get a heart and a fire and a flame. I love it. So I know you work with horses then. Do you do equine therapy through it all?
Yeah. So we have like 4 main different services that we offer. The original kind of flagship of what we offered was through equine partnered psychotherapy and coaching. And so our original focus was really on supporting people who have been through trauma, and helping them reclaim that sense of self, rebuild that relationship to themselves. And one of the main ways we originally did that was through that partnership with horses, because horses have a huge story in my own healing journey. So it was natural to be a part of it. As Unbridled Change kept going, I kept feeling the nudge, and it was like come out from behind the horse. And so we started to develop into the coaching side that was outside of it, working with like other healing goals and growth goals and spiritual goals, really trying to help people be able to break free from any of the burdens and restrictions that they put on life. So whether that's out in the arena with the horses with me out there at Unbridled Change, or it's a different quote arena of online coaching or classes or other type of professional development, all of the different places kind of go. But I like to say the horses were my original teachers. They were the ones that helped me learn how to build this bridge of connection to myself after it was severed by life's terms. And how do I put that back in there? So they're my gurus. And
Yeah, I mean,
and they go with
it is
me.
amazing. I think horses are absolutely amazing. And I think equine therapy is pretty amazing too, because horses, I mean, they can tell what you're feeling, right? And they
Mm-hmm.
can tell how you are, and that relationship that you have with the horse is pretty incredible as well. I mean, I know that equine therapy has done a tremendous job with a lot of people that have dealt with trauma. They
Mm-hmm.
feel like they can have a relationship or a connection with the horse and really communicate more effectively, I think, with an animal, and then take that communication to people, so to speak. So
Yeah.
I think it's great what you're doing. So how did you deal with that in terms of the changes that were going on for you in your life? And how did you overcome those obstacles? And what would you give our audience in terms of those tips?
Yeah. So when I first got the nudge to start Unbridled Change, let me just kind of give you my first big pivot. Is like I always believed I had to be within another organization. There was like a safety net of
Mm,
putting myself in, and I would like develop whole programs inside other programs and all these other things. And I was out actually on maternity leave for my first child.
uh-huh.
And I was sitting there and I kept feeling like, Michelle, you need to just start your own organization so you can grow it the way you want to do it versus trying to do these pivots with inside organizations. Like, you know, they have their rules, they have their things, and you can't do what you want to do and what you're up to. And I was like, this is crazy. I just had my first kid, you know, how am I going to be able to like start? I don't have land. And, you know, at that point, like it was heavily equine related. I was like, I don't have land. I don't have a building. I don't have horses. I have my own personal horses, but I was working out of other facilities, and it
Mm.
was kind of a crazy idea that started to bubble up within me. And I was sitting there and I was like, you know what? This idea has been a part of me in some form of fashion. And I have to like trust my guidance that what I need when I need it will be there to support me. And
Mm.
so I resigned from my paid job with my
Uh-huh.
little newborn baby and like sat down and started just typing out Artists Corporation, and was just started asking, you know, people like, hey, do you have a facility or a land that I can work out of? And like one after another, as I said yes to taking a risk, like it would come in, and everything that I needed would come when I needed it. Now, there's my first tip is like, we try to get like 6 steps out, right? Like, oh, if I'm going to leave this job and come over here and start this type thing, or I'm going to follow this heart's direction, or I'm going to take this risk and try to like branch out to another level of me within this organization. We want to know all of those things of how
Mm.
that's going to happen, when that's going to happen,
So
all
true.
these steps, like
Uh-huh.
6 or
Uh-huh.
7 steps out. You know, like what's a 5-year plan and the 10-year, and that's really kind of too far out because the saboteur energy, I'm also an archetypal consultant, that can grab hold of us, right? It's
Mm.
saying, hey, don't get that far out. Trust that when you get there, the path will appear. So it's a bit of a different approach, but it works. And every step that I took, the path did come forward, even if it was really unclear where it was coming from. If I could just stay in my why, the pieces that I needed did come forward at the exact
Wow,
right time.
I really love that. That is so cool. And that's so amazing too, because again, like you said, knowing your reason why you want to do this, what's your why about doing this, I think is so important because a lot of times we just want to do things and we don't really examine the reason why. And I think that's so important. And then to also trust the intuition part
Mm-hmm.
of oneself and to follow your heart. I think that's really important as well. I love this story. I mean, I just think that's so incredible. So this part of the show, we call it 3, 2, 1, go. And so give us 3 tips. You've already given us some tips, but give us 3 tips, 2 strategies, and 1 action item to pivot our lives forward.
Okay, so the first tip is the tip that I give every client that comes in and says, "Hey, Michelle, I want to work towards this goal." And whatever that goal is usually includes some kind of radical pivot. Either they're going to be willing to take a risk on a career change, or showing up in relationships differently, or a physical thing that they heal something that they've been working on for a long time and they just haven't been able to move the needle with. So whatever that is, I say, do me a favor, let go of the idea that in order for you to make this change, whatever that is, this pivot, that you need to have an influx of time, of treasure, or talent, because you already have the time, you already have the resources you need, and you already have the skill and the talent. We just need to reorder it. We just need to help you recognize that the way in which you're using your resources is holding you in this old pattern, and it's going to take a revamp. Because usually they'll come to me and they'll say, well, when I feel better, then I'll do this. When I get this much money in seed money, then I'll be willing to hop from my side hustle to my hustle. You know, whenever it is, they're going to get this promised land thinking. And so that's tip one, is let go of promised land thinking. True guidance, true intuition, and your why is always going to be something that you can actually start moving on right here, right now, in this moment, if you're willing to revamp how you're using your time, your treasure, and your talents.
Wow. Okay. I love this one. This is gold right there. This is gold. Wow. Time, treasure, and resources. Time, treasure, and resources. Oh my
You've
gosh.
got it all.
Yeah,
You've got it all.
yeah. So true.
It's just a matter of, are you willing to revamp it? We don't like to revamp it because we're creatures of comfort. And we think if we change one thing over here without knowing what it's going to give me over here, we get stuck. And that's that double bind that is never, we're going to stay in a feedback loop because we'll never have enough time. You know, we'll never have enough treasure and like in the bank of the seed money. You know, what's enough?
Exactly.
And right there, we've triggered the saboteur energy. It's going to get off the bench, like I like to call it, stretch its arms and say, I got you. You don't have to grow. You don't have to change. Just stay where you are, because it's going to give us an excuse. And I would say, give me one excuse that doesn't fall in these categories. And none of my clients in 20 years have been able to do it yet. So
yeah, so true. I think it's so true, because I think a lot of times as human beings, right, we want to stay in our comfort zone because it's comfortable, right? We don't want to go out and venture out because of the fear of uncertainty. I don't know what's out there. And I love what you said about this too, because I see this with a lot of my clients as well, where they're like, well, when this happens, you know, that when this happens type of thinking, then I'll do, you know, then I'll have the life of my dreams. Then I'll have the relationship that I've always wanted. Then I'll get the career that I've always wanted. And it's like, okay, so why aren't you doing that now? Like right now, today, instead of in the future, because that's never going to happen, right? If we're constantly thinking when this happens. So I love that you talk about that. So cool. So give us the other tips. We want to hear it.
Yeah. So once we've got that tip down and we're building off of that one, then that next one kind of talks into what you were just talking about. Is like that idea of, I'm calling it in now. I'm starting to bring that energy, that mindset, that literal posture to my body. So if I start to believe that the steps are going to come in when they're going to come in, that's not my job. My job is only to take the step that's close in. Then I can start to say, I want to start to think like how I would think when I am in full time in this business. I want to think and see my relationships as loving, beautiful, compassionate relationships. Whatever mindset goes with that goal, we want to call it in now so that we can start living it and start honestly having a dialogue with it. Where do I feel like parts of me just feel like this is never going to happen? I'm never going to have an attuned partner. I'm never going to be able to have the business. So I can actually start to break those blocks down in a loving, compassionate way, other than waiting till when I get there. Because even if somebody walks and gives you the perfect amount of seed money, here you go, here it is, you know, or like they show up with that person and they've got an aura around them of, oh, you know, this is the one, you know. Like if we're still stuck with the mindset that says that's never going to happen for me, or it's never true, or it doesn't matter when we get it, we're going to be sitting there with the exact same interior world, which is going to erode whatever beautiful gift was given to us or that we did earn. We're not going to be in a place of joy with it. So we got to bring that joy mindset in right off the bat. That's tip number 2.
Wow. Love it. Love it. Love it. I tell you, Michelle, you're dropping gold here. Gold nuggets. I love this. This is so cool. Focus on the internal world, right? Because a lot of times we want to focus on the external, what's going on, and focus on the internal world. Third tip. Give it to us.
Okay.
Give it to us.
So,
come on.
You can tell I'm a building blocks kind of gal. So once we've got that, once we're willing to start to look for the glimmer moments, to find the joy, to find the positives in what we're doing, and also lovingly, compassionately hold the parts of us that are stuck in doubt and fears, it's to not be afraid of the little voice that has doubts. Don't just push it aside. We do need to turn to that part of ourselves and get curious. Where does that come from? What part of me is maybe stuck in 3rd grade with somebody yelling at me and telling me I was stupid when I showed them all my favorite things, And that's why then when I turn that camera on and I go to talk, I can't talk. It's not the current me that's holding my throat. It's the me from all those years ago. And if I just tell myself and I bully myself into like getting in front of that camera because I do horses, like spurring a horse into a movement, it's never going to last. I'm not going to be able to hold it. And when I listen back to that, I'm not going to be holding on to my why. I'm going to be that same bully to myself in that moment. It's going to be really hard to hold my momentum. So we've got to bring in this approach that says, can I lovingly, compassionately tend to the past wounds so that I can show up in the present moment? There's a favorite quote that I have by Mary O'Malley. She's a beautiful, licensed clinical social worker and also kind of thought leader. And she has a book that's called What's in the Way is the Way. And I love that book. It's a beautiful book, but it's her quote. And I get it. I kind of, I'll try to get it as close as I can. She says it beautifully, that life is set up to bring up that which is bound up so that we can free it up and move into our life. Right?
Wow.
Like that's so beautiful to me. So instead of seeing an obstacle or a stumbling block or a trigger as something that's coming against me, it's like, no, something wants to be freed up right now so that I can get into the business of living, loving, and leading my life. Like that's what I'm up to. So that's my 3rd tip, is like really find a way to talk to those parts of ourselves that have, those negative voices, instead of just bullying them to the side and spurring ourselves on, like, you got this, you can do this, you can overcome any mountain. That's great. But if I'm dragging a bunch of dead weight behind me, I'm not going to make it too far. I need to take a hot moment and learn how to love and let go of the burdens so that I'm not just dragging them through, stealing my energy, binding myself up more. So that's my 3rd tip.
Wow. So so insightful too. That is definitely, you have to face that, right? Face the trauma as well. And then also look at that too. I've always said, like, look at the obstacles in one's path as what are the gifts or opportunities? Because a lot of times we see it as, oh my God, it's a challenge, it's an obstacle. I don't know if I can deal with it. That could be the negative talk. And if we could start to reframe that and see, well, what is this teaching me? What am I learning through this? And many times it's difficult to say, but what is the gift and opportunity at this moment in time?
Yeah. And when we can start to see it that way, we actually see like the little things that might be like, oh, this is going slower than I thought it would. This is hitting roadblocks. It's actually, instead of thinking, what is wrong? What didn't I do right? What didn't I manifest? Did I not have enough vision? Instead we kind of pause and we go, ooh, what's happening here? What's at work here? Is there something that else wants to be in here that wasn't in here? And if I had launched it without this would have been a huge missing piece, so maybe it's trying to help me with that, or maybe it's trying to help me gain complete understanding of my why, so that when I am in front of a camera and somebody asks me a question, I'm rock solid. I'm locked in. I'm into my why. I know what I'm up to. And so I can pivot and answer questions and do the different things that are available. Like, so if we can see those, like you said, as growth opportunities, as beautiful jewels of wisdom, versus like, oh, what did I do wrong? Or why is this happening to me? It's just right off the bat a huge shift that lets us actually meet that moment versus separate or try to blast through it. And both ways, we lose opportunities to really align ourselves and to grow.
Yeah. Wow. I love this stuff. I just love this, what you're saying. So great. So give us the 2 strategies to pivot our lives forward.
Yeah. So now that we're in this like beautiful pivot mindset, right? And we're in this thing and we're growing and we're willing to take these leaps of faith. The 2 strategies are, one, to what would you do if you weren't afraid? Like that question, if I could ask that, what would I do right now if I wasn't afraid? Well, chances are I'd record that video. I would reach out and ask that person this question, because as business people, we tend to like not want to use that word fear, but our neurobiology, that's its word. The word it says is danger, danger, ghostwriter, and procrastination, all these different things that get in our way. If we could just use the word that matches our biology, we'll actually move faster. So we can say to fear, pull up a chair, sit down, I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to hear you. It might have some really good insights. It might have something we really need to be aware of that we're blowing past. And we also then can quiet it down quicker if we just name it, tame it, and then work with it.
So that's love it. Name it, tame it, and work with it. That's so cool. Love it. Yeah, I had a coach that said, with regards to fear, put fear in the passenger seat. I see you, fear. I know you're here. You're in the passenger seat. I'm the driver here. And I like what you said too. I mean, I think this is great. So what's the other strategy that we can use?
So the other strategy is one which I really love, which is setting those intentions. So instead of being so focused on this is going to be my outcome, like these are my SMART goals. I love SMART goals. They're good for matrix and blah, blah, blah. But if I set my intention, then I'm more allowing myself to move and breathe and shift with that as I'm going. Meaning I might only have in my mind, this is my goal because that's all I can dream of. That's all I can think of. That's all that I have within my sphere of knowledge. But if I set the intention that says, hey, I want to be of service to people, and I maybe not know how that's going to be and what that's going to look like, then I'm looking for opportunities to be of service, even ones that I don't naturally think of within the fixed unit that is me. And so when a post comes up or somebody says something, I'm already open with that intention, bringing my attention to it, and therefore I can engage in that flow. Otherwise, if I set a goal, I'm locking myself into what I'm looking for, and that's all I can see.
So true. Wow, that's so great. I love that. In terms of your intention brings the attention. That's great. I love that. Yeah. I love that. So give us one action item to pivot our lives forward.
So if we go off of that, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? And what am I willing to set my intention on? Then I would ask you right now to practice that. Like right now in this moment, feel in and think about what is one thing without an influx of time or treasures or talents. I might have to reorganize them, but I know that they're already within me. What is one thing that I would like to focus on in this next week that would help me reach whatever that intention or that goal is? And then say, I want to invite my consciousness to bring my attention to opportunities in which I can reach that goal. Write it down right now as you're listening to us. And then be willing to engage in the flow, because I can guarantee you, if you set that intention and you say, I'm going to take the action step right now to be aware of it, those opportunities are going to come to you in the next week. And when it happens, you have two choices. I either say yes and go in whichever direction that is, even if I don't know where it's going, or I say not right now. If I say not right now, it's not no suit for you. You know, the universe will reorganize itself, but why wait, right? Because if we're already working on, I'm willing to do it with fear, like you said, sitting in that passenger seat, I'm going to take that chance and I'm going to stay close in and I'm going to make that choice. So that's my action step for you, is to actually put this practice into play. And that is the 3-step action for manifestation that I give my clients. Like, set that intention, be willing to be aware of the different ways you're going to sabotage yourself, different ways you're going to see it. And then when that choice point comes forward, be honest with yourself. Like, ooh, that's a choice point. That does match my intention and it is in my awareness. Am I going to now say yes? And hopefully,
wow, I love this yes. so much. This is so, my gosh, gold nuggets right here. Amazing, amazing, amazing stuff. Love it so much. So how can we find you and how can we connect with you?
Yeah, so you can, the easiest way to find me is on our website, unbridledchange.org, because we are a nonprofit, so it's ORG. And then on there is like all the things, you know, like the free resources, the on-demand resources that I have, and then how to move into working with me in like small groups and stuff like that is in there. I also have a podcast, Soulful Practices podcast. And it's kind of like this, like I take a quick quote from a different healing or spiritual or personal growth kind of a thing. I give you a short 20-minute or so conversation of how I work with it myself or how I work with it with clients. And then I walk you through a practice and I leave you with the same kind of how to work with this throughout the week. So each week you have an opportunity to clear out some of those blocks and really get yourself in alignment with who you truly want to be with that beautiful aligned action. So that's a great starting place, is Soulful Practices, because it's free. It's right there. You can work out of those, you know, for a long time. But then the other places of how to like go deeper with me, you can find on my website and social media channels as well.
That's so great. And we'll have all your social media channels after this show as well, so that, you know, people can connect with you. So is there anything else you want to add, or any other, you know, comments or anything like that I haven't asked you, or questions that I haven't asked you?
That's great. I don't think so. I think I have just one kind of closing one that's really kind of going with the theme. There's another great quote. I love quotes, as you can tell. It's by a meditation teacher, Osho, who died, I think, in like 1990. But he really taught that our life is our meditation and that is our work. And if we can show up in a mindful way for our everyday life, everything else kind of starts to call into balance. And the challenge he gave the people who he worked with, his students, is really what has guided me, is that move the way love inspires you to move instead of the way fear makes you move. And so that is that gift, right? To learn to move the way love, your heart energy, is guiding you to move, and let fear pull up that chair and be next to you. So I love that quote to end on.
That is so cool. That does get a heart. That gets a heart and a fire. That is amazing. I love it so much. Well, thank you so much, Michelle, for being on our show. You've gave us so many gold nuggets and so many great tips today. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And to you, our audience and viewers, we appreciate you so much. We're on Pivot Now every Tuesday, 10 o'clock Pacific time, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Live life abundantly. Pivot now. Change and shift your energy. Pivot